Hi everyone! Welcome back to HairCraft&Color Salon. We are doing another Practically Magic makeover today, so please stay tuned, like, subscribe, and we'll jump right into it. This is Angela. We are going to be doing a little bit of a refresh of what she has, but just a little bit more brightness. So her hair is very, very long. We're going to take off some of this length since we are going brighter and we're kind of starting fresh. We're going to keep the brightness around the face, but over time, her hair is kind of ashed out a little bit. Which is fine. Some people like the ashy tones, but we want to add a little bit of warmth back to her hair because it's going to give her a little bit of brightness. It's going to go well with her skin tone and her natural color, which this is her natural color through here. So it'll just complement her a little bit better. So we will get started. Okay, now I'm going to begin mixing. I used the blue-based lightener, which is going to counteract some warmth. And I did about 45 grams. So now I'm going to be using 20 volume for her hair. And I'm going to do like 1 to 1.5. So I'm going to take it up to about 65 grams of the developer. Again, a little bit more of a painting consistency because that's what I prefer. And then before I go ahead and apply this on her, I am going to cut some of her length first. So that way we are not wasting any product. Okay, so we don't waste any product. We're taking off a bit of length, so we're going to do it beforehand. So I'm just going to kind of take this here, and then we will perfect later. So that way we don't waste any product. Ooh. Still long.
It's still.
And you could see her previous color through here. But we're just going to add a little bit more brightness and warmth to it to get a little bit more pops of dimension. Okay, so now I have her parted back here. As you can see, we were just kind of concentrating her color through this top portion. We wanted to keep her depth and dimension through here to give her some brighter pops. I am going to throw 2 foils back here just for a little extra brightness, but most of this is all going to stay dark to give some depth, but I am going to pop 2 foils, 1 on each side back here, just to add a little extra brightness, especially when she pulls it forward, so the underneath just doesn't look dark and undone. So I'm going to use the same comb as last time, the one that has a little teeth in between. That's really good for teasing. I'm going to go through, just do a very thick weave, and you'll see it's nice and fine, and it's just going to lay right on top of this depth. I'm going to back comb. And then this time, actually to make sure I fully saturate, since she's got a lot of depth back here, I am going to use a painting board. So I'm going to go ahead, concentrate all that lightener on this painting board. And on the hair, we're going to start middle to the ends, make sure everything is nicely saturated. And I'm going to slowly paint it up. And too, with this painting board, you'll be able to see a lot better than in my last video over the foils where I'm placing that lightener. So you can see I'm slowly painting it up. And I am using more of like a painting brush for this. And I am going to be placing all of her hair in foils and doing more of a foiliyage technique. So that way we get maximum lift compared to balayage that doesn't have those foils. So it just doesn't lift quite as nice. I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side, and then I'll take you to the next section. So here is my next section. So it is kind of in the shape of a V, if you can see here. I am going to concentrate the lightener just down here. I'm not going to really drag it up. We want to keep pockets of depth to make that top area really pop. So just like in my last makeover, I am going to do 2 back-to-back here. So this first one, I'm going to drag just a tiny bit higher than the next, just so there's thicker pockets of brightness and depth, is why I'm doing 2 back-to-back, because her hair is quite thick, so I don't want this to get lost in translation here. So this one I'm going to do like I've done before, the little V technique. So smaller, shorter, down lower here in the middle and a little higher on the sides. But this is as high as I'm going to go. I'm going to go ahead and drop it on this foil. And then you can go ahead and perfect. Make sure everything is really covered here. Go ahead and fold this guy up. And then this is when I'm going to do my back-to-back. So I'm going to pop this guy straight up here. I'm going to pick this whole section up, and then right underneath there, I'm going to kind of weave my foiling comb, but more of like a slice. So this is like a slice, but when I weave, I'm going to continue to give a blurred effect on top of the back combing. I'm going to go ahead and back comb this up as well. And then this one, I'm going to just really pop the very, very ends. So since these are back to back, they're going to lay on top of each other like a sandwich, and you're going to get a little bit more of that balayage effect, but with the foiliyage technique. So really concentrating just on these ends here. Still doing a slight V, but a lot lower. Drop it on the foil. Perfect. Make sure it's nicely blended. And finish with that one. And then now I'm going to continue to go up on diagonals on each side in that V formation. And I'm just going to do single foils, no more back-to-back. I just wanted that one to have a back-to-back just because down here was quite dark and I wanted some nice bright pops in there. Okay, so from where we left off, which was this back-to-back foil here, I did one on each side that cascaded up higher on that angle, still closer to the face. Then I did one really just concentrating on the ends. And then the last one on each side, I dragged it up a little bit higher. And this middle section, this middle V, which you could put a foil up here, we do have, you know, old color in there that I feel is just enough. I don't feel like we need to add any more. We don't want her to feel like either a blonde or too light. We want to keep that dimension in there. So that piece I'm just going to leave alone, and we'll start working on the sides. Okay, so now we're going to work on the front section. I'm going to continue using the 20 volume because, like I've said before, the front hairline is the most fragile. So we don't need to up the developer. We went through this back section fairly quickly because we're not adding too many foils. I went ahead where her parting was before. I took everything from the ears forward and had kept it away from this back section. I have taken the hair down, and this little area here, I took a little diagonal back here, and this I'm going to leave for a pocket of depth. And she already has some old highlights through here that we're going to keep, but we're not going to drag anything up. We want to keep that depth here. So right through here, I also parted off a small little section, which I'm going to begin doing some back-to-back baby lights, so we keep some brightness around the face. And I'm going to continue it around her hairline up here close to the parting to keep her money piece nice and bright. And I will be back. Okay, now we finished the front. I am going to add some last pops here through these very ends. But I did the back-to-back baby lights all around the hairline. I did a little triangle section right here on both sides just to add an extra brightness, pop of brightness there. Then I went through on each side and took a section back and teased it and added some brightness there. Kind of went up on an angle as I have been with all the other foils. And my last foil that I'm adding is I just kind of separated. Here's all the hair from the front that didn't get foiled. I am just kind of taking this this hair that's kind of laying forward. So that's where we want all the pops of brightness. This has enough through here as well. So this, again, I want to keep the depth through the top. That those ends are already brightened. So this hair that's kind of still falling forward towards her face, we want to make sure it's refreshed. So I'm going to really tease that. And I'm going to go through and just paint the very ends. More of like a balayage style. And this part you should wear gloves. So I'm just going to use my hand instead of the board because I don't want, I'm doing it very lightly. We're not going to really saturate and push it through. We really want to just brighten up this top layer. I'm going to do that on the other side and then we'll just let her process. So this is where we want to lift to. This is about a level 9 here. It's still got a tiny bit of like a golden tone to it, which we want to keep because we want to keep that warmth. So these foils back here are ready to be pulled out and you kind of start to see placement of everything. Like I said, these ones are a bit lower. I like to pull the foils out and kind of perfect everything with my gloves before we rinse. So this is what everything's looking like so far. The front is just about done processing as well. So we will go ahead and pull everything out. We will rinse and then we will come back for the toner. So now we pulled all the foils out so you can see all this brightness around her face. Looking very lovely. So this is obviously going to be her money piece, but you still see all that depth throughout here. We left that in there and concentrated that brightness around the face. So now we're going to wash her out and get her toned. Okay, now as far as toners, I already mixed up her Touch Up and Lace Down, which I did 5N from Shades EQ with some processing gel. I like the gloss to gels because they're a thicker consistency, so it's not messy. Her pull through the ends, she still has some warmth in there, which we want to keep. This is our inspiration picture. So this is about where her hair's a little bit, tiny bit lighter than this right now. But I did 20 grams of 9N, 5 grams of HEI, and 5 grams of 9NB, and that will be her pull through. So I'm going to get that mixed up, and then we will go ahead and apply. So now I'm going to go ahead. First, I'm going to start with the Root Shadow color. So I'm going to part her hair in the middle and I'm going to start dragging that down. Again, this is just to give a nice gradient. We're going to further keep making sure everything has a nice blend. So I'm going to go through. You can part going vertically, horizontally, whatever you're more comfortable with. A lot of the lightening that we did not go up too high at all. So for me, I'm not really too worried about how far down I'm going. Again, we like depth in there. The only area that I'm really going to concentrate that root shadow on and make sure I'm placing it very, very carefully and specifically is on that front hairline, because we have that nice and bright money piece and we want to keep it nice and bright, but we also want to make sure it's soft and blurred, so when she pulls her hair back, she doesn't feel like it's too harsh. So I'm going to continue to do this all the way around her head, and then we will do that front hairline very last. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the ends color and go ahead and pull that through all through the back, and then once we start working on that front area, I will bring you back to see how I apply it. Okay, so just like before, I did the whole back. And now we're going to work on the front. So this is where we have that nice money piece. And I'm just going to lightly take the touch-up color and just ever so lightly dot it and pull it back. Just giving it a softer, because it's all the way up to the root, which we like, but we just want it to grow out nice and soft. So I'm going to continue to pull this back. Lightly dot it. Root. And then we'll pull the pull-through color over top of it. And like I've said in my previous video, since this area processes the quickest, it's the most fragile, it dries the quickest, it will pull that toner very quickly. So I'm going to get it touched up. We'll pull the toner through the ends, and then we're going to go ahead and quickly rinse because this will pull that toner very quickly. Break it out. Get one more good spray here. Okay. Here is the final reveal. All the brightness around the face here. Definitely have pockets of depth and dimension, as you can see when we spin her around. We got that depth all through here, but still those nice bright pieces. But really just concentrated that brightness around her face. So that is the finished look. I'll give you a little sneak peek all around here.